Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. I'm James Quesada, and with me today, I'm talking to my good friend and fantastic improviser, sketch performer, who has a show coming up at Grove 34. It's called the Secondhand Movie, which is an improvised reenactment of a retelling of a movie that almost nobody has seen, typically a B movie or something obscure. And Nick is joining me today. Nick was also a cast member of the show Puffs or Seven Increasingly Eventful Years at a Certain School of Magic and Magic, which ran for a few years off-Broadway and is now available as a live recording on Apple iTunes, or actually you can get it on Apple TV.
And Amazon, I believe.
Yeah, and Amazon.
Yeah. We were on a couple like Broadway World and Playbill, but I don't know if we still are, but we're definitely on Amazon and Apple TV.
Yeah, which is amazing. So you can check that out there and see more of Nick. Welcome to the show, Nick Carrillo.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah.
Super excited.
Thanks for doing it. So yeah, let's start with the show you have coming up at Grove 34. It's on May 1st, 7:30. That's a Friday.
Yeah.
And the show is the Secondhand Movie. So in a nutshell, how do you explain this to people who are curious about it?
So I get a guest and I assign them a weird B movie cult classic film. Usually it's obscure. Sometimes maybe you've heard of it. But I have them watch it. They then come and describe it as best they could. I kind of treat it as like, how would you explain a movie to a friend that you're like, oh, I saw the weirdest movie last night. Let me tell you this movie. We have them do that. We do a quick interview, and then off of that, a group of improvisers we improvise that movie based off of their description. So it's kind of like a game of telephone, but with a movie.
Yeah, so fun. I've seen it before. And for example, like what are some of the movies that you've assigned to your guests before?
We did early one. We did Return to Oz. Remember that weird sequel about Wizard of Oz? Yeah. We did that one. We did Deep Rising, which was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh.
Do you remember Deep Rising?
Yeah.
Treat Williams, Famke Janssen, great. I'm like blanking on some of the old school Hell Comes to Frogtown, which is a Roddy Piper film, which is, have you not heard of that one?
I have not heard of it, but just the title alone is like, come on, I got to see this.
Sam Hell Comes to Frogtown, mutant frog people. So they're pretty weird. They're pretty out there. A lot of the times they're horror. They're not always horror. It's just, that just seems to work. I also love horror. Can I say the one that we're going to do?
Oh, yeah, up to you, yeah.
We're going to do Demon Island.
Okay.
Which has different names, but its primary name is Demon Island. It's on Tubi if you want to watch it. Maybe you want to before the show. Jamie Presley is the star of it. And it's a bunch of college kids go to this island that are like in sororities and fraternities to play in game. It's like hey, let's do this fun event for your fraternity and your sorority, and you're going to compete. And they're just like drunk college kids and they're hooking up. But one of them accidentally opens up a cursed piñata, and the cursed piñata kills them.
Perfect. Okay, so you assign that movie to be watched by who's your guest?
Eunice Bay is a friend of mine. She's fantastic, and she's on the Apple Plus TV show Your Friends and Neighbors with John Hamm and Amanda Peet, and James Marsden is in the second season. But she's incredible. She's in it, and I'm super excited to have her on to talk about this. She's not a horror fan too. She was I don't like horror. I was like, I know, don't worry. This movie is not scary in the least. It is, you won't be scared. But I kind of like doing that. I like having friends who don't know horror that much because it's very interesting to watch them break down what's going on in these crazy movies. Yeah.
Okay. So she'll give a retelling of the story of the movie after watching it in front of the live audience for the show. You do play the trailer or something.
Yes, yeah. We like to show the trailer beforehand, before anything, just so everybody's kind of on board for what this is and what it looks like. And then she'll do a description, kind of a beat for beat, quickly though, run through of things. And then, we'll ask some questions about specifics, and then we just kind of use that to get into it, to go our kind of interpretation of what.
Yeah, which is, it is like a fever dream of if it's almost like if also you say a telephone game, which I think makes total sense. And it's also kind of like if you watch that movie and had nightmares about it.
Yeah.
that night. Okay, great. So, yeah, that's the show. I love the concept. It's like super funny. I mean, it's, there is a little bit of like, why this, this approach to like, an improv show, but yeah, what's the story behind it? Why this format?
And why? Yeah, because I've had people be like, "Where did you come up with this?" And I was like, "It was an accident." So a while back, when I was with my girlfriend at the time, we would watch a lot of horror movies because we both liked horror movies, and we one time watched this movie called The Stuff. Have you heard of that one?
No.
It's an '80s film. It's kind of like in the pantheon of like classic '80s weird horror films, and it's about literally this stuff called The Stuff. That's what it's called, The Stuff, that people find and they kind of market it out, and it's super addicting and people like to eat it. But it like turns you into a zombie and it messes you up and it gets like mass marketed everywhere and it's crazy. So
love a good horror movie with some like messaging in it.
If you want to know good messaging, horror movies in general, but also 80s horror movies, like they have a long, like they have like there's a story behind all of them. They are representing like culture and stuff like that. And that's why I love horror. There was that long documentary In the Search of Horror, and I believe it was Romero who said it, was like, if you want to understand horror is like a telling of the times. Like it is like a representation of what's happening.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, this stuff, people consume it and it gets crazy. And these two people kind of are like, what's the origin of this? And they look into it. Anyways, she fell asleep and the movie gets like bonkers. It's bonkers throughout, but it kind of really shifts. And the next day she was like, hey, what happens? What did I fall asleep? And I was like, okay, so all of a sudden the army comes in and they bring in this thing and I'm explaining everything to her. And she goes, that's not what happens. I was like, no, that's what it was. And she was kind of like, that's interesting. And she was like, offhand, she was like, wouldn't it be interesting if like there was like a festival, like a film festival where they like assigned one person to watch a film and then they had to explain it to all these different directors and then they made their own version of the film. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I was like, you know what though? That'd be a really good idea for an improv show of just hearing somebody watch something weird and then have to like explain what it was they saw. And then the people go, all right, I don't know what this is, but I guess I'll do it. And I always liked my old house team at the People's Improv Theater. We did the movie form and I loved doing the movie form. So I was like, any excuse to like have me do a movie form. So, she was like, yeah, go for it. Like, give it a try. And so that's where it was birthed. And we did it for a while pre-pandemic and all that stuff. And so I'm bringing it back.
Yeah, it's awesome. What I love about the concept as an improviser is the idea that like, it is parody. Like you get to play around in all the same ways that you do with parody, where there's a reference point that everybody in the room is familiar with, but it's really specific to the people in the room because you're getting the retelling from, you're getting a retelling from somebody in real time. Mm-hmm. And so there's a little less pressure, one, to like do, for the audience to be super familiar with it. You're kind of removing you kind of got to know the movie to get the jokes. All you have to do is have been in the room for the retelling. And then also there's less pressure with it being improv to like nail the specifics of the movie, which you would save for like sketch or something scripted. Mm-hmm. You get more freedom to like take it in different directions because yeah, it's a copy of a copy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you try to look for guests who are not movie buffs, or do you look for some who are?
I think I'm more so not so much, but I don't want to say the people that I brought in aren't movie buffs, because some of the people that I brought in are just friends that I was like, hey, I don't think you've ever seen this, and I think it would be funny to hear your idea of what this is. And they're obviously like love film. But I do try to find, like when I find a guest, I try to be like, what's a movie that I think you haven't seen, and this is going to be weird for you to be like, how to explain this. That's how I try to do it. So it's kind of like a mixed bag. It's a little bit of A, a little bit of B in that way. And just people that I think, and it's funny too, sometimes I've brought people in and they get real passionate about explaining the movie. Like in a way that it's like, I just remembered one time I had Kevin Labison, who's an improviser and a teacher and an artist and an actor, has been the AD of theaters, and I gave him 80 for Brady. If you remember that film,
Don't know it.
You don't remember that classic
Nope.
that came out a couple years ago? It's based on
It's a recent one?
It didn't come out that long ago. It was like a couple years ago. It's based on like a true kind of story, and it's like Jane Fonda, Cheetah Rivera, Sally Field, Lily Tomlin, and they're all obsessed with like the Patriots and Tom Brady, and it's them like getting to
this
like
does ring a bell now. Yep.
And he like was so locked in about like wanting to just talk about, because he's such like an artist theater guy that he was like, what is this thing? And he just couldn't conceive. He like stood up at one point and was like just like breaking it down. So that's the thing, is I try to find like, what's the movie that I think this person is just going to be like, what did you make me watch? Like, what is this? So that's
and more so than like genre or like time, decade or whatever, it seems like the common thread is a lot of movies that are so bad they're good, that kind of genre. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you love about that genre?
I've loved that for so long because I think growing up, that was like a thing for my friends and I that we just loved. And, you know, you have like, you know, those sacred ones for so long, you know, like the classic is like The Room with Tommy Wiseau. That was the one that was like passed around. And like when I went to college, the college I went to, College Santa Fe, was a very, very liberal arts school. And, you know, I was in theater, but there was the MOV students, which was the film students and the art students, and everything. And so we were so like, hey, let's watch this really beautiful art film. And then somebody would be like, hey, I've got this piece of trash, but let's like laugh at this. And then later on when I moved here, there was like some of my friends, we found out that like a thing we could do is find a film, go online and type in drinking game for this film. And like it was, people made it for most films. And it was like these little things. So we would find this weird, so bad it's good film, order it, buy it, whatever, do it, put it in, and then do the drinking game to it and just like laugh at how bad it was. And I always just loved this kind of obscure, I don't want to say trash cinema. Like everybody's putting their heart into it in a different way. And it's better because there's been new stuff where people are like, oh, we know, wink, wink, that we're being bad. And we're doing it on purpose. But there's something about a film that when they care about it and they really are putting everything into it. And then it's like, this wasn't great, but it's great because of like what you were trying to do. I mean, Troll 2 is a great example of that. It's fun, and you can see like the heart in these things, and you love it and you laugh at it, but it's like, no, this is art. This is cinema. This is part of it. Just as much as like any Oscar winning thing, it's still like somebody's baby and we can all enjoy it.
Yeah. And there's just like little quirks that come out of it. And it's not, well, I don't know. It is a little bit, there's like a little bit of a roast element to it for sure.
Yeah. We're roasting it.
Yeah. But there is just also like, kind of to the point of like why it's so fun to hear somebody else retell it is like the little incidental quirks, and whatever the backstory is on like, oh, we had to because of the edit or the timing, or we just were like rewriting it on whatever the story is, like these little moments that are like, well, that got baked into the movie because we had to, or we took a big swing and it just fell flat. Like those things are so, you can't manufacture them. There's some things like you said that like you can't do as weird on purpose.
Yeah. No, one thing that reminds me of like, and you were asking me about like other ones that we did. And I remember one time we did, do you remember the video game House of the Dead, where you have like a gun and there's a 2-person thing, and it was in all the arcades and stuff?
Yes, definitely.
And you're just like blasting stuff.
Yep.
So they made a couple of movies of it, and there's the first one. And I remember that I watched it. I don't remember how I found it and what I did, but I watched it and I was like, oh my God, this movie's so bad, but it's so much fun and it's so crazy. And I remember I bought the DVD, and then it was one of the movies in college that I'd show my friends to. I'd always be like, we got to watch this, and this is a goofy one. And so that was one of the ones that we did for a show. And I had my friend Andy Miller, who was in Puffs with me. I had her do it, and I was like, I want to see your take, because this is not a movie you'd ever see. And funny enough, she came in and she was like, it's bad. It's but it was fun to watch. And she was like, also, it was very progressive in a weird way. Like, she was like, there was a lot of women that were empowered and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, she was like, so I kind of really liked it and da, da, da. And I was like, and if you watch this film or understand what it is, it's not like your first thought of like what you would get from that, or like House of the Dead or anything. And she was like describing some of this stuff. And I was like, this is the kind of takes that I love and I want to bring into the show. And like that, people pick up on, and then, we can comment and play and perform and do all this stuff. And that's kind of the joy of it, is that you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah. And so you're clearly a genuine deep dive movie buff.
I love them.
Yeah.
I love movies.
If I were casting people in a sitcom like Around My Life, I would definitely put you as like the like last remaining DVD VHS boutique shop owner.
I would love to play that.
You walk in and you just have like a whole collection of rare finds.
Yeah. I've done that
like
before.
A pile of VHSs that you're like, tell me 3 things about yourself. I'll recommend you a movie.
I don't have any VHSs. There's a bunch at my home in Texas where I'm from, but like I've been seriously considering like getting into that game of collecting. It's just it's very expensive, and it's VHSs are
because they're collectible. Like there's or you just have to if you're gonna collect
it's a combination of things. I mean, to like find VCRs is super rare nowadays. But also it's a thing of like finding certain ones. Like there's some at my house that I know that I could be like, I could grab and take with me. It's just that it's a physical media that is also like bulky and big. And I live in a, New York apartment. So it's hard to like, I have like my DVDs and Blu-rays that I hold on to. But I've always been like, man, I would love to get in them, because there's something about to me, watching some movies on VHS are like what are to people when they listen to like an album on like a vinyl record.
Yeah.
Like, and like
VHS, how films were meant to be enjoyed.
Yeah, which is weird to say, because I'm also like, nowadays it's also like I run to like the Lincoln Square AMC to watch like certain movies on the 70 millimeter IMAX, because this is like, and it's this whole new thing. But I think, and like, or watch something in VistaVision. But that's the fun of like, watching stuff on, this is meant to be on 35 millimeter. It's supposed to be on this. And like, even though I'm talking about this, I still am like not as knowledgeable as some people. But it's just fun to like, I remember one of my favorite movies and comedies is Billy Madison. And I went to a friend's and he's like, I have it on VHS. And this was like 10, 15 years ago. So it still was like, we had DVDs and Blu-rays. But he was like, let's watch. And there was something about watching it, scratchy, grainy like thing, that it was just like, this is how I watched it. And I remember, and like, it's almost like this is how you're supposed to watch it, So that's my thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And how did you get into, is there a story behind how you became a big movie buff? Like, do you remember kind of how you got into it this much?
I think a big thing that was the spark of it is, I have a family that are just, we love movies and we appreciate them. But a big thing that was, my parents were divorced ever since I can remember. It was like very, like I didn't go through it. But I just knew them as divorced because I was very, very, very young when it happened. But they were very civil and they were very friendly. And so it wasn't like a thing of like, you get to see him at this time. It was just like, my dad got to like, hey, can I hang out with Nick? Can I do this? And it was just like, yeah, go do this. And a thing that we got into, that we connected, and I think it stems from him and him really appreciating cinema and film, was that we would like every Friday night, we would go see what was out, what was the film that was premiering. And, back then, not as many films were coming out. It was just like, so it was always like the big ones. And then sometimes on the off season, we would go and be like, well, I don't know, this movie's out. And it was a weird movie. And I think that's why we learned to appreciate like the good and the bad. And it's funny now because he tells me, he goes, you take me to these like crazy movies and I love them because when I'm home, I'll take him to go see a movie. He's like, I would have never thought to see this movie. But when I was younger, he would show me like obscure, weird movie. He would always call them little movies. They were just indie films. They were just indie films from like the 90s, but he would call them little movies. He'd always be like, I found a little movie. And I was like, it's just an indie film. Just call it an indie film. And he's like, no, it's a little movie. And he showed me like Man Bites Dog, which is a crazy French film about a dude who like, It's a group of people it's a mockumentary, but it's a documentary crew following a serial killer and like his, like what he does and stuff like that. And it's black and white and it's nuts. And then he like showed me this other movie that was like Thursday, which was like a product of like the Pulp Fiction concept of people like, I want to make a Pulp Fiction too, and like doing this thing, like a version of that. But it was like, you know, look at these criminals and they're all cool and sleek. And like, but a lot of people know about it. And like Thomas Jane and Aaron Eckhart are in it, but it's like early career of theirs, like super obscure films. And some of them, like, I want to be like, I want to rewatch them. And they're hard to like find because they're so obscure. But he did a lot of that for me. And a couple of stories to tell you to get into it is, so I love horror. Mm-hmm. My two favorite genres are horror and rom-com. So on the spectrum.
Amazing. That is so funny.
Yeah, it's my thing. And I was introduced to horror very early on from my family because I don't know, because you're Hispanic Latino.
Yep.
And yeah, I've always known that. I don't know if it's like a thing that they're very open of like, we're going to show you stuff really early on and you're going to be cool about it. Maybe you didn't experience that, but I felt.
Oh yeah, same. Real quick. I relate to your story so much. My parents divorced when I was like 2.
Okay.
My mom, as a single mom, one of the main things that we would do recreationally is go out to the movies, and we would see a lot of like new movies when they came out. But what we would see the most is dollar run movies. So we did, like
going to the dollar movies.
Going to the dollar movie was
which doesn't exist anymore. It's like such a thing of the past.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was just a movie that was in the theaters for a long time because movies used to last for longer in the theater, and then after a while they'd go to a dollar movie theater and you could go see it for
which was so cool. I mean, I guess it's basically like waiting for it to come to streaming these days, but and absolutely, some of my earliest memories are watching like Terminator or Aliens, movies that I probably should not have been watching at like 4 or 5 years old.
So early on, they introduced me to a lot of like kind of horror stuff. And I remember I had an aunt who was like the cool aunt. She was like the cool aunt and she loved horror. And she would show me horror movies, but it was always like, because she stayed with my grandparents, and she would show me at their house. And I remember I attached to like Freddy Krueger because Freddy Krueger was always like goofy and funny. And I was like, oh, I like him. He's like silly and he makes jokes. And have you seen The Wedding Singer?
Yes.
Do you remember there's a little kid who runs around with like a Freddy glove and a hat and he's like the nephew?
Yep.
Literally, that was me. Like I demanded to have a Freddy glove and a mask and I would run around with it. And I remember my dad took me to a work party at his boss and it was like a pool party and I had the glove and she was like very kind and was like, you can't wear that. I'm like, you can't, these are kids. And like, they were like, how do we explain this? But anyway, so I loved horror films, but I always watched them on like the small, like home TV. And when Pet Sematary, the original one came out, I was 5 years old and my aunt and my mom really wanted to see it. So they were like, we're going to, and they had me for the night. I was obviously there with them and they were both like, he'll be fine. He watches horror movies. So they took me to go see Pet Sematary. I had never seen a horror film on the big screen. And I was good for most of it. I don't know if you remember the film, but there's a character, Aunt Zelda, who like the mom recounts like having to take care of.
I haven't seen Pet Sematary in a long time.
It's been a while. Yeah. I understand. If people know, they'll know. But she's like the mom is like telling me stories about like, oh, I had to take care of my sick, Aunt Zelda, and being a little kid and having to take her. And it's played by a man, but they put all this stuff on it, and the performance is fantastic, but it's a lot for a 5-year-old child to watch.
Yeah, gotcha.
And so I was just there, and like also on top of that, which I had forgot, but I was recently retelling the story to my family. My mom was like, "Do you also remember?" Because she's a person who likes to watch horror films, but she covers her face. She's one of the person that covers it. She's like, "Do you also remember that she grabbed me and put her on her lap and used me as a shield?" So I was just directly taking in everything.
Absorb the evil child.
Yeah, absorb the evil from me. And I was hysterical. I was like, this is, and they were like, you'll be fine. We didn't leave. We finished the movie. And so I didn't watch, I was like, I will not watch a horror movie in theaters. I was like, I will not do it. I was like 5 years old. I was like, never again. And then at one point, my brother and my dad took me to the theater and they were like, we're going to watch this. I forgot what they told me we were going to watch. And I was like, I think you're going to take me to see Tremors, which was, I don't know if you Tremors, the Kevin Bacon.
That one I know, yep.
And I was like, I think you're tricking me. And they're like, no, we're not. And then we sat there and then it started. And I was like, and I was still a little kid. And I was like, what's going on? And they're like, we must have gotten tickets to the wrong theater. Like they were still like, deal with it, like kid, but we'll play along. I ended up loving the film. It was great. But it wasn't until 1993 when the Leprechaun, the first Leprechaun with Jennifer Aniston and everything, that I was like, I'm ready. I'm going to go. And I was still like a little kid, but my dad was like, let's do it. And I went and I saw it and I loved it. And I was like back on track. But there's a lot of history of my parents showing me like a lot of things that I shouldn't have, but which has also kind of made me a little desensitized to some stuff, that's why I think I seek out such like insane horror films and why I'm like that stuff.
That makes sense. Yeah. But same. And you know what? We turned out just fine.
Hey, we're okay. Hey, I talked to my therapist, but I told his story and she goes, it sounds like it's a happy story. So you're okay? And I was like, nice.
Yeah. I said some of my earliest memories. I should also say some of my fondest memories are as a 4 or 5 year old watching Terminator or Aliens.
Oh,
enjoyed the heck out of it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And there's a lot of them that I was like, I love. Well, and I'd also get in trouble. I'd go to school and I'd be the kid that was like, hey, they would be like, oh, have you heard there's that new Freddy movie or this new horror movie or the new like it? And I'd be like, oh, I saw it. And I'd like talk to the kids about it. And a teacher would catch us and then they'd have to be like, hey, your kid's a good kid, but he's telling them about this horrific movie you shouldn't talk about. My parents were like, cool. And they're like, look, we'll show you this, but you can't talk about it like outside, like, because not everybody's showing these kids this stuff. So, but yeah.
Yeah, that was also kind of like me and my brother, I don't know, we're really into things like Bad Boys and
I love Bad Boys.
You know, and ended up having like a collection of like guns, of like water guns and Nerf guns and stuff. And back before they like, we didn't have a bunch of realistic ones, but they don't make realistic toy guns
like how they used
anymore.
to.
Yeah. So we had some that were pretty freaking realistic.
Like was like, there's a reason why they stopped. Like they coloring them all crazy colors because kids were getting, were getting shot like straight up, like or getting into trouble for like, no, it's just a water gun, it's a fake Nerf gun, but it like looked too real.
Yeah, or you could rob a liquor store with it. Like, okay, let's talk about one of the threads for you as a comedian. I notice is parody. So including Secondhand Movie has like parody in it. And you were part of Puffs. So yeah, let's start with Puffs. So, and real quick, for those who don't know, Puffs is a side story parody of the Harry Potter world.
Yes. Yeah. The best way I like to describe it is what Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead is to Hamlet, we are to Harry Potter. Because it's like all 7 years of what was going on at Hogwarts for Harry, but it's like, what if we watch the Hufflepuffs, like what they were doing?
So it's what's going on the side with the Hufflepuffs during the biggest
it's
events.
Just kids
for the
who are
other
like,
houses.
hey, we just want to learn magic. We just want to come here to learn magic. What's going on here?
Yeah.
And there's like a trio that kind of mimics their trio, but they're like in the but so Harry and all that stuff's in the background and you're watching this whole other group and stuff like that.
I'm just curious what it was like going from the story is Puffs starts as a original self-produced indie stage production at the People's Improv Theater, right? And it's there for like a year and then goes off-Broadway. How cool was that to like go from just what was it like taking something that felt like, oh, it's a fun silly parody idea, but then seeing it blow up to something bigger than that?
Exactly. It was this cool thing because I was doing improv at the People's Improv Theater, and then this group came in, and I mentioned Kevin Labison before, but he was the AD, and he brought this really good group, this kind of acting troupe from the Flea Theater that had this show called Kapowie Go-Go, and he was like pairing it off with, because it was episodic, with improv groups. And so this group I was in called Gus was one of them. And myself and my buddy Langston that were in the show got really close with the group. And weirdly, it was one of those things where manifestation put it in the world. Langston Belton, who I mentioned, great improviser, comedian, actor. We were talking one night after a show and hanging out and go, like, we're doing a lot of improv, but we're like, I miss doing plays. Like, I miss doing like scripted stuff. And it's like the universe heard us. And Matt Cox, who was writing Kapowie Go-Go and was a writer of this stuff and performed in it, he was writing this show called Puffs, and he came to us and was like, he was like, I want you guys to be in the show. I'm going to write these parts for you. So he does a first reading, which Langston was involved in those, and like that troupe, some of the troupe. And I went to go see it, and I wasn't in it. It was like, it wasn't even finished. And then I went up to him and I was like, this is so incredible. I love everything you do. And he was like, I actually want you to be in it too. I'm going to extend some more stuff. So then he writes it. We are like, let's do this. We're so like, this is so much fun. We love this. It's so like, everybody's just like, we're going to help each other out. And it's a very complicated show. There's a lot of props and costumes and changes and characters. And a lot of us were playing like 8 to 10 characters in one thing and running around. And so we get it off the ground at the pit, and we're having fun, and the cast is just like super gelling and having a great time. And it's like, it's blowing up because we had this fan who was like immediately wrote in this like he wrote about it, and it blew up. And so the Potter fandom just like was like, we're going to come see this in droves. And it just was like selling out like crazy. And we were like, this is super fun, and we're having a good time. And we'd literally sit there at the bar afterwards and go like, wouldn't this be cool if this like took off and we like got to do it like off-Broadway, and like we were here and there. And we're like, all right, we'll see though, but we're just having a good time. And we were only supposed to do like 4 or 5 shows, but it kept extending and extending and extending. And then we brought in these producers to watch it, and they were like, cool, we want to bring you in. So we moved it off Broadway to the Electra, where we were at for about a year, which is a theater that doesn't exist anymore because they had to tear it down because like they sold the theater. There's a whole story about that we don't get into. But we were like, we got to move. We want to move. And they were like, we're going to move to New World Stages. And we were at New World Stages. And that was like when we really felt like, oh, this is the home for this place. And we were like so lucky. We were right across from Avenue Q, and it was like, what's going on? What are we doing? And it was like, we just did it for years and loved it. And it was so much fun. And the fans were incredible. And we got to shoot it live, and it's out there now. And it was just this crazy, like lightning in a bottle thing that took off that we could only imagine what could have happened. And it was such a fun ride. And the cast were still all super close, and
Yeah, well, and it's such a great story and a reminder of the power of being in New York City, where stuff like that is possible.
Yeah.
And so on the one hand, some of the best stuff in comedy comes from like taking the pressure off and just being like, I'm going to do what makes me laugh, and just I have a fun idea, and let's do it. But if you also keep in mind that like, well, if you make something really fun and good that people like, it is kind of sky's the limit. Like you can go shoot for off-Broadway, Broadway,
yeah.
And now having a recorded version of it on Apple TV and Amazon, it's a strange kind of balancing act, because you can put, again, too much pressure on yourself if you try to like begin with that goal in mind. But it is so cool to see something like that happen and be like, yeah, these like little improv and sketch theaters can be a launching pad for stuff to go to bigger stages and make have a bigger reach and a bigger impact and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, very, very cool story. And I'm glad that y'all are on streaming now. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's been super fun, and we're also I don't know what the updated number is, but for a while we were the number 2 most produced play, not musical play, in high schools in America. Like they were like, yeah, we were number 2. Clue was number 1, but we were number 2 for like years. I don't know if we still are, and it was fun because we would always like sometimes we get invites around and some people got to see some. Matt got to go like back to his hometown in Dallas and watch one. And I think another, Julie Ann Earls, who's in it, got to see one in LA. And we went to a Comic-Con in San Diego where a regional theater was doing it. And they had us come out and do a like Q&A with the cast and everything like that. And I even got to come out and play a quick role that I did because it was an improvised role. So they were like, will you come out and join the thing? And so it's been like, and the biggest thing that we lucked out is it's the fans. The fans were like, that's what helped us. That's what got us to where we were at. And they were so loving and so like the coolest ever. And we were just always like, we're just us. Like, I guess, like, cool. I'm glad you love us, but we're so thankful to them. Like, it was because of them that it happened.
Yeah, that's so cool. And again, like with a story that evolves like that, you do end up having just the most humble people. All the people that I know from Puffs are just the nicest, most humble, coolest people to be around, and don't have like that ego, because you started doing it for the love of the game, and then it just it took off to this its greatest potential. So yeah. Okay, some quick questions with Nick Carrillo. Let's start with name 3 of your favorite comedians.
Okay, I would have to say Michael Keaton, because he started off doing stand-up before. People forget.
Oh my gosh,
he was
that's
a stand-up,
right.
and he did like his early stuff was all comedy and stuff, and then he got like Batman and all the stuff. But he did Beetlejuice.
But still, some of his best roles are very funny.
Beetlejuice is great. He was even kind of funny as Batman. Michael Keaton, Adam Sandler. I love Adam Sandler. I think Adam Sandler is just like a person that I always like, just like saw Baby Bird and was like, you are what I appreciate. And I think he's a fantastic actor. And I'd say also probably Billy Crystal. I love Billy Crystal. Love Billy Crystal for so long. And When Harry Met Sally is one of my favorite films, and he's just incredible. Yeah.
Groovy. Okay, I'm gonna ask you favorite to name 3 of your favorite comedy movies. But as a heads up, I will tell you that I'm also going to ask for top horror and top rom-com specifically.
Okay.
Okay. So
that's good to know.
Yeah. So let's start with, or let's go to name 3 of your favorite comedy movies.
3 of my favorite comedy movies are Billy Madison. I love Billy Madison. I can quote that movie to high hell. I love it. Step Brothers. I love Step Brothers. Step Brothers is so great. And then, so it's hard because I don't want to like steal a rom-com and do that. But like, what's another like one that the thing is that there's like, it's so crazy when you're like, there's so many.
Yeah. And also, you don't have to lock in like that these are the top 3, just like 3 of.
Something that I watch all the time that I love.
Or even like a what's the best comedy?
You know what? Because it's a new one I saw. I'm gonna say it wrong. Have Fun, Good Luck, Don't Die. The new one with Sam Rockwell.
I have not seen it, but it's been on my list.
Great.
Yeah, it's
amazing, and it was a film that I was excited to go see. And I went to see it, and I was like, oh yeah, this looks fun. But it like blew me away how much fun it was and how relevant it is too. But I'll throw that one in there because it's something I think people should watch if they haven't. It's great.
Love it. Let's go with name 3 of your favorite horror movies.
Okay, cool. From Dusk Till Dawn,
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Such a combination of Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez, which were 2 of my favorite directors. And Robert Rodriguez was very important to me because it was great that he brought so much of like, Hispanic, Latino people and characters into media. And I love Tarantino. It's just a lot of fun. And it's a crazy bonkers film and the cast is insane. Suspiria, the original Suspiria from 1977, Dario Argento. That movie is a beautiful, beautiful masterpiece and just so gorgeous to look at. And the lore and like what he was doing, it's so powerful, impactful.
What's like a quick summary of the movie?
So this woman goes to this dance school in Europe. She's an American, and she's there, but like not everything is what it seems, and it's because it's basically like witches are involved with it.
Gotcha.
And so people are getting hurt and like getting killed, and it's just like super bizarre. But it's like the Technicolor is based on Snow White.
Oh,
he wanted it to be younger girls, but they were like, because he wasn't a creep. It's just that most schools are like, you start young when you're dancing. And he was like, this makes sense because it was based on like his wife helped him write it because it was based on a story of her mother or grandmother and was like, oh, she went to a dance school and was like, they were always like, I think witches run this. And it's just like a fun lore myth thing. So they wrote it and they were like, what the violence you want to do, you won't get and he was like, you're right, we can't do this to little girls. But he's like, I still want to keep that mentality. So he kept the language very like juvenile, and he made all the doorknobs were up high for them to keep a kind of innocence and juvenile like essence to like that. These are young people in over their heads of like these monsters that are like taking over.
So it's so interesting.
It's and there's like so much more to it. There's this soundtrack is done by this band called Goblin that is incredible, and it's played throughout, and it's like listen to that soundtrack. Oh, listen to Goblin. I think you'd listen to the soundtrack of Suspiria. It's incredible.
Will do.
And then that's when I start to get like, because I was like, do I say Lost Boys? Do I say Puppet Master 2?
Honorary mentions.
I'm going to probably give it to Martyrs, the original French version, not the American version.
It doesn't matter to me. I've never heard of it.
Martyrs. Martyrs is an incredible, it's a lot. It's not for the light of horror. I think also Suspiria might also not be for the light of horror, but Martyrs is definitely for you. I hope you got to love horror to watch this film.
You say what year?
When did that one come out?
Or like ish? Is it newish? Modern?
No. This was
older.
like 2016, or I think the American version was 2018. So I want to say that one's like 2016.
That's still I would call that relatively new for like horror.
Yeah, it's not super old. It's not super old. Like what Dusk Till Dawn was like 90s, and Suspiria was 1977. This one was like 2000s. It might even be earlier 2000s. I always forget. I'm not good with dates.
But it's called Martyrs.
Okay. Martyrs. Yeah.
I gotta because I'm gonna have to Google these movies for posters.
Just make sure it's the original French version. Yeah.
I will.
It's pretty insane.
I won't misrepresent you.
No. Yeah. Don't you put up that American version? Don't you dare.
Is the American version like worse? Just much worse?
It's just not as good. It's when they do that with most of these intense films. Like Suspiria has a remake that came out not long ago, and it's Luca Guadagnino and it's Dakota Johnson and Tilda Swinton, and people really love it. I think it was very unnecessary. It's fine. People love it, so I don't want to get into it, but it's fine. But they tried to Americanize it, but it just wasn't as like just didn't capture the element as much. It's like when they did the Old Boy remake, that was insane. That was a terrible idea. Anyways,
let's go with top 3 or 3 of your favorite rom-coms.
Okay. Easy case, When Harry Met Sally. Love When Harry Met Sally. It's one of my favorites. It's just good. It's one of the movies that made me fall in love with New York and want to move here. And like I said, I love Billy Crystal. And then I'm going to go, Audrey Hepburn's one of my favorite actresses of all time. And I just like love her.
Yeah.
So I would go with Sabrina. Sabrina is like one of her, because like Breakfast at Tiffany's is the classic that everybody loves. My favorite film of hers is Wait Until Dark, which isn't a rom-com. It's more of like a thriller. It is a thriller, but I love Sabrina, and Sabrina, the original Sabrina with her and Humphrey Bogart and William Holden is just great. And then my guilty pleasure, which fans of Puffs will know because it's commented that I think I added in the recorded version, is I love the movie 27 Dresses. With Katherine Heigl and James Marsden.
Okay, yeah, great. Man, I'll tell you what though, just hearing you list these movie favorites, it is just a reminder of like, no matter how big of a fan you think you are of any media, there's somebody who has 10 times more knowledge than you. Because I've seen a lot of movies. Like I said, I relate to that being like the go-to thing growing up. My mom still has like walls of DVDs.
Yeah, at our house, yeah. So,
but like, yeah, never even heard of some of these, like the Martyrs, or I think I can picture like the poster cover for Sabrina, but I definitely haven't seen it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you are a wealth of movie knowledge. It's incredible.
And there's people who blow me away. There's people who blow me out of the water.
Yeah, and they're all on Reddit.
And they're all on Letterboxd and Reddit, and they're yelling at each other. But no, and that's the thing is that for me, I'm like, I'm okay with saying I don't know everything, but what I do know, I know and I love, and I just appreciate film so much. It's such a good escape, and that's all I want to do is I just want to watch film and TV and be left alone, but I'm forced to work and pay taxes.
Yeah. Working for the man.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that outside of comedy and movies, anything currently that you're obsessed with?
Books. I love reading books. And this is going to tie into, because a lot of the books I read are horror. There's a really great book called The Troop that apparently are going to make into a movie.
Okay.
Which is bonkers because it's a pretty intense. I liked it. I loved it. It's also like body horror, which is my favorite form of horror.
Can you give a quick definition of that?
Yeah, it's kind of like an open interpretation because like they consider a lot of different things. Because I also would have said Black Swan is one of my favorite horror films.
Yeah.
I love Black Swan. Black Swan's my favorite. But there's like body horror in that. Substance is probably like the easiest concept of like, this is body horror. Or like a lot of like David Cronenberg, where it's literally like things are happening to the body and it's pussy and gross and they're peeling things off. And it's like it's just kind of like the idea of like
mutation
our bodies are here to kill us and we're just, holding on to them as much as we can.
Gotcha.
And it's just like they sometimes I one time I saw Suspiria put into body horror and I was like, nah, I guess there's some, but but like the substance is like such a good like here you go, which is a credible film I put up in one of my favorite horrors. That is like here's what body horror is, or watch a David Cronenberg film or his son Brandon Cronenberg.
And the book is, what is it called?
Sorry, The Troop, and it's a Nick Cutter, who's a great writer. And I read it a while ago, but I love it. And I heard recently, because I went to this bookstore that I love in Williamsburg called The Twisted Spine, which is like a horror bookstore, that they're going to make into a film. It's bonkers. It's about a group of Boy Scouts, but it's the Canadian version because it all takes place in Canada because the writer's from Canada. They go to this remote island where they usually go, which is like, whatever, it'll be fine. But this dude shows up and he's got this thing in him. And it sets off this like it's like a parasite. It's like think of the worst kind of not a ringworm. Yeah, ringworm. The things that eat at your But think of it on a level that is the worst and super like what's the word when you contract things and it's
contagious.
Contagious. Thank you. Contagious. And it's real messed up. And the way they describe how it works is really messed up. And it's just a horrific gore. And what's great about the book is you are discovering in between chapters what's happening, like what this thing is. But as you're reading the story, you're understanding that these boys do not know what this is. And you just are learning how horrific this thing is. And they're just like having to go through it. And there's also this other element of this one kid who's like a psychopath, and it just adds to this thing. It's great.
Okay, let's do, if you could steal a lead role from any movie or series and put yourself in it, what would it be?
Eesh. Oof bagoof. What would it be? What would be a role that I've really wanted to be? It just, because sometimes I watch things and I go, well, I love that. I wouldn't want to take that from that person.
You have to.
But I have to steal that.
Was there a first thing that came to mind?
Yeah. When Harry Met Sally.
Yes.
Billy Crystal.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah. I would love to tackle something like that.
Heck yeah. Billy's got other roles.
He's doing just
he's
fine. One time a fellow comedian and a guy that I was working with that was kind of a boss to me was like, you got kind of a Billy Crystal presence. And I was like, that means the biggest thing to me ever. So I don't know if that's true. People may disagree. That's fine. I don't care. But like that was like an important thing. So thank you.
Yes. So comment if you agree.
Comment if you agree. Yeah. Please tell me how I'm wrong. Yeah.
If you had to wear one outfit for the rest of your life, what are you going to wear?
I would wear jeans. I like my light blue jeans that have like an 80s kind of feel to them with like white shoes. And I like Hawaiian shirt. I want to look, I like that 80s like guy who like woke up on his boathouse and he's divorced and he's like, but I got to go solve this crime.
Yeah,
I would dress
Kurt Russell,
like,
kind of
Kurt
role,
Russell, kind of thing. Like it'd be like some fun light jeans, comfortable shoes, maybe boots though, because boots just because of course, because you're a little bit of cowboy, and then like that Hawaiian shirt, just kind of like I don't care, this is what I wear. That would be it, and sunglasses. Yeah,
well, I love that look for you.
Thank you. I try to emulate it when I can, and not always to success, but yeah.
Well, great. Let's go back one more time to the Secondhand Movie. That is 7:30 Friday, May 1st at Grove 34.
It's a great cast. I'm excited for the guest. I'm excited for the Goofy movie. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Grove 34 is such a great place and such a great environment. I'm super excited.
Yeah, happy to have you. And thanks so much for doing this, Nick Carrillo.
Thank you so much.